A lot of what we think about when it comes to MetaCTF and skills development, skills management, and assessment in general is breaking it down and mapping it to the employee experience journey. When a company sources a candidate, finds a new potential or prospective candidate, takes them through and into their recruitment process, there are a bunch of different phases that prospective employee can and will go through throughout the life cycle of their relationship with that company. So, in terms of assessing, evaluating that person's skills and their capabilities, we try and think about mapping to this journey that individual is going to go through. You can see on this slide, there's 4 phases that we think about, and there's a 5th phase that kind of encompasses all of these things, but I'll talk about that later. So the first phase is the recruitment phase. So that's when they're trying to find candidates. They are putting up job postings. They are going to career fairs and trying to, from a outbound or inbound perspective, find new candidates to join their workforce to do some job that's very important to them. In doing so, they need to create obviously a good experience for those prospective candidates to want to join the company. Hopefully your company's brand and their awareness of your company precedes itself. That makes it a lot easier. Or you may have to do some sort of education as to who you are, what you care about, why a prospective employee may want to join your company. But at the same time, you as a hiring manager or recruitment team need to evaluate, is this the right person for our team? So you have all these behavioral things you can and will want to do to confirm this is a good fit. They're the type of person we want working at and representing our company. At the same time, you also need to make sure, especially in cybersecurity, when you're hiring technical roles, IT, software development, you need to confirm, does this person have the skill set we need or the capabilities we need? And if not, do we think that they can get there? Do we think we have the talent management, the skill development apparatus in place to grow them and progress them through the cycles that are important to us? So obviously a recruitment team and hiring managers have a lot more confidence in hiring candidates that maybe don't fit exactly with what they want or need if they have that really strong development apparatus in place. In terms of candidate assessments, there's been a lot of discussion on this over the past couple of years as to you shouldn't, put prospective candidates through the ringer like that and make them do all this work and do all this stuff for free. It's not a good indication of, are they good at the job or will they be good at the job? I would argue that the assessment side is just one sliver, one small piece of the entire recruitment process. And there's a more holistic, comprehensive evaluation going on. So it's not actually that way. I think that's kind of a misrepresentation. But as a part of a best practice, you should think like, I don't want to put the candidate through the ringer to the extent that they're going to be turned off because I'm making them do too much work, especially if you're a small company or one who has less of a brand name on the employment side. You may want to try and give them kind of a lightweight assessment so that you can validate the skills. And then through more conversational techniques and methods, interview methods, you can validate more of, does this person really understand what we need them to? So that kind of covers the recruitment side, all the way from like sourcing the candidates through evaluating their skills and deciding, hey, I want to hire this person. So from there, we move into the second leg of the employee experience journey, which is onboarding new employees. This is very experiential. So you're trying to create and provide a strong experience for people who are starting at your company. A big part of employee retention is that first impression. I think it's just a very human element that goes into bringing a new person into the company. I think one of the most important metrics when it comes to onboarding is how quickly can you get this individual to productivity. I think in cyber and IT, especially important because they have, very important jobs and they need to get kind of ramped on the technology, the terminology, and kind of the general day-to-day workflows of their role as quickly as possible so that they can start doing the thing that you hired them to do. So you can create both a positive employee experience and then also, talking back to that skill development piece, if you are bringing in candidates that, have already done the job before, you can hopefully just kind of fit them in. Maybe they have a learning curve on some new tools that you have that they haven't used before, But in general, it's plug and play. But for junior people or people less experienced, or if it's someone who you're taking a chance on who's done some really impressive things in IT, but you're moving them into more of like a cybersecurity focused role, onboarding is critical to set them up for success, because you want to make sure that they have that foundation and infrastructure in place to do the job that they were hired to do. So from a skill development perspective, we think a lot about that is, what are the core things? What are the most important things that you want that individual to accomplish in the first 30, 60, 90 days of the role, even like the first week? There's a real ROI in creating a strong onboarding process and onboarding development program so that those people can start doing their jobs as quickly as possible. You don't have any time where they're onboarding for 6 months and then they start being productive. So that's a really critical piece that I think can get overlooked, because people are just excited to bring on new people and they're forget about the kind of developmental piece of onboarding. That flows into engagement, which is a little bit more of like an ongoing thing, but I think it's very much so like infrastructure related. You have to have good programs in place to engage your employees at a high level and make sure that they are along for the ride for the right reasons with the company. They're aligned with the company values. They are aligned with their team values and their people manager, their coworkers. And I think engagement is a lot about that alignment and making sure that they feel included and involved and excited about the things that they're doing. Because for the most part, I think the most productive teams are very much so excited about the job that they need to do. But whether it's I'm excited about my role because I'm excited about developing into the next role, or I'm excited about my role because this is my job and this is what I've always wanted to do. But engagement is an incredibly important part of the employee experience, because that's where you're getting the individuals to do the opt-in of, I want more, I want to learn more, I want to grow, I want to continue to go above and beyond for this organization, for my team, so that we can be high performing, we can do great things and achieve all our goals. So engagement is first for an important reason before the learning and development piece, because in order to get someone to move into the upskilling, learning, development phase, you have to get them to lean in first. So the engagement, super important. Finally, on the upskilling, learning, development piece, this is where you are as an organization. This feels very sort of foundational and, kind of infrastructure based. It's almost like the application layer where you're able to do the upskilling, the learning, development because of the other foundational things, because you recruited the right people and you have a, clear vision of like, these are the type of people we can take in and bring in, because you have a strong onboarding program where you can evaluate and bring people in and get them going quickly in a very clear, like you clearly know what you need to do with those people in a specific time frame. And then because you have the ability to engage employees in a way that they're invested and they're leaning into these development opportunities, this is where you can create a culture of learning. It's a safe space. It's a place where employees they feel like they can be vulnerable in a way that they can actually develop themselves, and they're not going to be, judged for learning new things and pushing their boundaries. So one of the things that we talk to companies a lot about is sort of jumping into upskilling or learning development opportunities without really thinking about this holistic experience, like this holistic employee journey. And I think it's really important to think about these first 3 steps before you get to learning and development. And then I mentioned the 5th step earlier. The 5th step is really just employee experience and engagement and retention as a whole, because those are the outputs of all this. So you're creating this really strong culture. You're creating an environment where people feel like they can and want to grow and they want to spend their careers here. And then at that point, you're retaining them at a high rate. And there's been obviously all kinds of studies on the value of retaining employees at a high rate, especially high performing ones. So that is our perspective and my perspective on the employee experience journey, and why some of the foundational, even like the pre-hiring phases of the employee experience journey are so important in creating an environment and a culture for growth and development within the organization.